You are listening to episode 164 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and this week I'm joined by Ryan and Barry.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Game Deflators Podcast, where we talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and I can't believe it's been another year. Oh, by the way, Barry is here for this year's New Games Resolution.
Okay, that is by far, Ryan, the best intro that you have done in the 3 years. I'm so happy Barry was here to experience that.
I was about to say, how am I supposed to follow that? Come on. You set me up for failure, Ryan.
I gotta set expectations high for 2022.
No, it's all going down from here.
That was it. That was your peak for the year, January 2nd.
Yes.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Barry is here with us. He's been on a few times as part of the Premium Edition games, but this week he is here as a part of the Nintendo Fuse podcast / Premium Edition games still, because we might get some updates. So, Barry, for those people that don't know who you are and live under a rock, tell us a little bit about yourself again.
Yeah, seriously, I've been on so many podcasts over the past couple months. It's been insane due to premium. But yes, for those of you listening that haven't heard me before here, my name is Barry Carranza. I am the co-host for Nintendo Fuse and Nintendo Fuse podcast. I've been there for almost a decade at this point. I'm also one of the co-hosts with the Switch Mania Playcast. That's going on over 2 years now at this point, and I'm one of the founding members of Premium Edition Games. So premiumeditiongames.com, where we take digital-only titles and we release them physically into the real world because we're collectors, and that's what we like to do.
Beautiful edition releases.
Great enunciation on his intro there. I think that was, dude, I don't know how we beat any of this moving forward.
See, you're just trying to bullshit me at this point. I can't. I'm trying to follow Ryan here. He's the maestro.
Dude, with his finger and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, it works.
It's
conducting.
It's one of those things.
I don't know if you heard last week's episode, but I did the games we're currently playing. Ryan's like, do the finger. It works, man. It works. It totally works, Barry. 100%.
Because that's why conductors do it with orchestra. It gets you into the motion.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Games we're currently playing. It's a.
We're going to have to record Barry doing that from now on, and we'll just replace it. That'll be it. Confuse the living hell out of everyone. Okay, so Barry, you know the drill. We like to talk about what we recently picked up and what we're currently playing. We'll kick it off to you as our guest.
Sure. So I didn't get much because not a lot released during this week, being the holidays. But I did pick up my Always collection finally came in for Switch and PS4. Been waiting for that one. Fun fact about that game, we tried at Premium to bring this game physical. These two games, we reached out to them to bring them out, and they informed us, Elden Pixels informed us, that they were already signed. And like, oh man, but we have this other game you might be interested that we're doing called Cathedral. And that's actually how we got introduced to Cathedral, which we were able to put out, which is really cool. So we went for Always, we got Cathedral. Both games now get physicals. That's fantastic for gamers everywhere. So happy about that. Also picked up a game called The Colonist. It's an Asian English release for the Switch. So it's one of the Luafols. I probably butchered that name, but if you've ever seen their releases, they're Asian English. None of their stuff gets released to America for whatever reason. Another game from Bandai Namco called Pui Pui Molcar Party, or Let's Molcar Party. I don't know what this is. It's probably the most adorable game I've ever seen in my life in terms of image. It looks like hamsters with wheels and party hats. Okay. I don't know. But it's an Asian English. For whatever reason, Bandai Namco did not bring it over here. So I'm like, all right, got to go for the set. So I picked that up. And the last one that came in was G Darius HD for the PS4. Finally came out. Came out a while ago on Switch, but got to get those Darius games.
So Barry, Puyo Puyo Molcar is actually on Netflix, and it is
a cartoon.
They are guinea pigs and cars combined, and these cute molcars have a lot of fun adventures while solving problems.
Is there a Guinea Miss Prime?
There should be.
Guinea pig just transforms and busts open.
They're classroom pets in disguise.
There you go. What's weird is that it's obviously on Netflix and it's put out by Bandai Namco, but they didn't decided not to release it in America, at least physically, not in America.
Maybe the Netflix ratings aren't there, so they realize that
Maybe,
they can't. Yeah.
but
Uh,
it did get an Asian English.
what else? Anything else on the pickups?
In terms of pickups, no. In terms of playing, uh, I'm still doing the little Animal Crossing and Pokemon Unite, like that's the daily stuff. But my main attention is still in Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. It's like rejuvenated my love for that game. There's so much now to do, and the story is amazing, and the music is amazing, and it's so good that you can't actually purchase the game right now. They actually had to turn off purchases and even the demo off because too many people were playing the game, and the login queues were ridiculous just to get
What was your
in.
longest wait time?
I've been in queues for 5,000 in queue, so it took me like 2.5 hours just to get into the game. Um,
Jeez.
because so many people want to play the game and with good reason. Now it's slowed down a bit because those people finish the story and they're waiting for the new Savage content, which comes out on Tuesday. So, right the day after this goes live. And I'm sure then it'll pick back up a bit as those people go in, want to be for world's first, and then do their clear for the week and then stop playing. Because some people do that. Other people like to do everything else. So it's such an open-ended game and it's such a great community that it just invites you. So if you've never played an MMO, this is probably the most friendly MMO you can play. It's very much a single player MMO. You can play the entire thing single player and just do dungeons with random people, or you can make friends and build a community that way. But it's just like it's always like a party. Like just the other day, I went to one of the hub towns and someone was sitting there playing "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey, like rocking out because you could play music and like
Oh,
people are just
cool.
standing around dancing and stuff. And I'm like, this is great. This is what it's all about. Just people just having fun because this world sucks. We need to have fun.
Now, have there been any Final Fantasy 14 weddings that you know of?
Oh, well, you mean people who met and
Yeah,
then
people. Well, no, like literally the wedding on
Oh,
Final
like
Fantasy
oh
in the
14.
yeah,
game?
it was tons of them. Yeah, I got married in game too. You can do it.
Oh,
Yeah, you have the whole thing. There's a whole service you can go through. There's a whole quest line.
Oh,
You get
wow.
rings.
oh
You
no,
get
no, no. I mean like a person to a person. Like they've decided we're just gonna get married online.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Real-
people that do that too. A lot of times they'll do it just for the mount. You get a special mount for getting married
Oh,
and you get the ring. And the ring has an ability that every 30 minutes you can instantly teleport to your partner.
Oh, that's
So
sick.
people
interesting.
who are just like, oh, my partner doesn't actually play the game, but we wind up hanging out and playing all the
Yeah.
time. Let's just get married and then have that ability because we're always doing stuff together. Yeah, guys get married to guys, girls get married to girls just for that,
Well,
just friends.
Ryan, we have been doing so much together in this podcast for so long.
No,
We should
John.
just get married on Final Fantasy 14,
I
and then
don't
our
have
friends
that kind
can't
of
judge.
time. I don't
Yeah.
have hundreds of hours to devote to getting married to you.
Oh, it is a
Have
full
you
time
been
job.
there since Realm Reborn, or when did you get into it?
I started 1.0 when
Okay,
it
so
came
you've
out
been
because
there the
I'm an
long
11
haul.
player. So I played
Okay.
11 at launch when 14 was announced. We're like, oh yeah, this is just gonna be like the best version of 11, and we all jumped to it, and we all realized it was garbage, hot garbage. So we all went back to 11, and then the beta came out for Realm Reborn after they fixed some stuff, and my friends were like, oh, go back into 1.0. I'm like, no, I'm done with that game. And when the beta came out for 2.0 of Realm Reborn, we're like, all right. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. And I told my wife, and she's like, really? After the dumpster fire that was 1.0, I said, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. So we tried it together, and we both fell in love, and we both
Nice.
left 11 to do
Yeah, I've
that.
For
heard
all,
people saying the payoff, like after all this time, is
Oh
just so like there's never been a game that's pulled off this kind of legacy
no,
like
never.
this well.
Never. And you know how, you have those moments like Avengers Endgame, for example, has that moment in the third act where if you've watched all the MCU movies, like you got guilt goosebumps all over you, like,
Yeah,
oh, this is
the
amazing. And
payoff.
even and the payoff was amazing. And Spider-Man No Way Home even has something very similar to that, where it has that goosebump filled payoff. 14 does something just like that at the end of Endwalker, because Endwalker is the final story arc of this arc, and then they're starting a new arc afterwards. So it has that payoff where characters you haven't seen since A Realm Reborn suddenly come back and they're assisting you like you assisted them, and like all your debts are being paid off, and you're seeing all these people coming back and interacting with each other from different expansions, and it really has that oh my god gravitas moment where even like your villains are now helping you, and so some of your friends may not be your friends anymore, so now you're going to get like it comes full circle, and
That's
it
so
ends
awesome.
so beautifully, and the music just complements it. Like if you just listen to Endwalker's soundtrack, you've never playing it, it's just beautiful music.
As much as I would want to play Final Fantasy 14, I know if I start it, I will not stop it. So I have to like contain myself.
Well, see,
Like
that's
that.
the beauty though. You save so much money because you're only playing one game.
Yeah, I know. I know.
The forever game.
It
Except
is almost.
I was gonna say time is money, Barry. I'll spend lots of time on that.
To be fair, they made it so it's very user friendly, and you will
Hmm.
just doing the story, like forget side quest, just
Yeah.
doing the story, you will over level the story with your first job.
Hmm.
They make it so easy to level that even now, like 80 was the previous cap, now 90 is the cap, just by spending maybe 45 minutes a day, which really isn't that big of a time commitment. Um, in less than about maybe 7, 8 days, you can go from 80 to 90 just by spending that little bit of time, doing
Interesting.
very little work. Um, I like that. I like that you can spend just a little bit amount of time every day and get a lot of payoff. Or you can grind yourself and say, I'm going to spend the next 6, 7, 8 hours playing, and you got a bigger payoff, of course. But it just makes it very easy, very forgiving, very there's 100 different ways to level, 100 different ways to do a lot of things, and I
That's
think
great.
that's part of its brilliance.
Nice. Well, might be something to consider in the new year here,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
we'll see. All right. So, as far as my stuff is concerned, this week I didn't have any video game pickups, shockingly, especially with Christmas and everything else going around. So I ended up getting the Bloodborne card game. So if nobody's seen that, that exists. Splendor, the card game. So that's another tabletop type game. And I also picked up Magic the Gathering blue black cards for my, I hate saying it, but my Demir control, which is blue black control for Magic. So that's for standard. I'm hoping to utilize those cards to beat the hell out of Ryan this week. And if we
It'll
can get this,
happen.
it will happen because I'm just better than you. And then if we can get some tournaments in play, I'm hoping to play in some tournaments. Um, as far as currently playing, I did not really get a chance to play anything this past week since we last recorded. I was going to start playing my friend Pedro on the Switch because I was traveling, but then I remembered that I have digital copies of The Witcher to read, and so I started reading The Witcher again and finished the second book of The Witcher, which is phenomenal. Mainly because the new season came out, so it was like new season came out, and it was like, oh yeah, that's right, I've got The Witcher books. Let me catch up on that and see how it goes. And yeah, so dove into tons and tons of pages of that. I did start up my friend Pedro, just kind of give it a shot. Oh my god, I cannot get over, like, I'm gonna have to buy a pro controller to play this game. I cannot play this in handheld mode at all. It is the biggest pain in the ass. So either that or putting it in dock mode and just playing it that way.
You just need
Super
a
difficult.
bigger screen.
No, it's more so just the controls and what you have to do. Like, it's just for me trying to control that game and like aim with, like, I think you aim with like the left or right joystick, and then you got to do your firing. Plus, there's a lot of multitasking involved, and I need like that more
You need
handheld
a
type
better
of
grip.
base. Yeah, that's kind of what it is for me. I just
Have you
can't
tried
play
about
it.
the Switch Pros come from Hori?
You know, I haven't yet.
Those are
That is
great.
something I've considered that before. I just don't play enough handheld mode to like really dive into that. But it might be worth looking into. And then let's see what else I have. I have Ghost of a Tale on PS4. So I do want to continue that one. That game actually started getting very good as I was playing it a few weeks ago. So hoping to continue that this week. And then once that's knocked out, I think I'll dive into my new games resolution, my first one. Ryan.
So I got a bunch of black magic cards so that John can beat me. Most of those have already come in. This is my first time like buying magic cards online like this, so it's new for me. Everything came as I expected. It is very different though. I have another experience. My wife buys K-pop photo cards, and the amount of thought and care and packaging and freebies and stuff that goes into the fans of K-pop community and what they sell, as opposed to like just shoving like 5 cards into a sleeve into an envelope wrapped in the receipt. It's a whole different world. So
Yeah, dude. I mean, I sell on, and you bought those on TCG, and I sell stuff on TCG as well.
Yeah.
And dude, I totally, it's kind of the same mentality because like,
There's no pageantry to it.
no, well, no, I mean, like if I'm selling you a 25-cent card or like a dollar card, and that's the only thing I am sending
Yeah,
you,
dude, you gotta have 3 stickers in there. You
it's
gotta have, like, some washi tape so that you can nicely pull it out. It's gotta be a whole production. Throw some glitter in there just to be fancy.
you would piss so many Magic players off if you threw glitter in an envelope.
Glit
Can you
bomb.
can you imagine a reviewer like because when you open a Magic envelope from TCG, you feel where the card is, you rip it out the side, and you just pull it out. Like there's no like, oh, let me just gently pull over the top. Like you would literally, and I like dump it out, so I would just straight up dump glitter all over my floor if that happened.
Uh,
You know what you have to do now, Ryan?
yeah. I need to start selling Magic cards
Yeah.
and let my package them.
The good thing is I recycle a lot of my Magic stuff, Ryan, before you jump back into where like if I get a hard sleeve, I will actually repurpose that hard sleeve for what I'm selling. So when I do
Yeah.
get like when I am selling like one card, I do just throw it into that hard sleeve. I just don't want hard sleeves laying around. So
You just keep them moving, keep them circulating.
yeah, Barry's got some there too.
I know.
I've got it's ridiculous. Sometimes people send you 2 and 3 hard sleeves for like 2 or 3 different cards. I'm like, why? Just shove them in one. But yeah, there's no glamour, dude. It's just how it is. But your TCG experience, what'd you think about it?
I mean, everything came early. That like optimized cart feature is the greatest thing ever. I had no complaints. Like even things that say like lightly played, I don't know. It doesn't even look played to me. I guess I'm fine with it.
Barry, I
I
don't know if
haven't
you've
had
done
any
any.
problems.
I don't know if you've done any buying on like TCG at
I've
all.
never done TCG, just usually like trading on like Facebook for like the amiibo cards.
Yeah.
I used to be heavy into Magic when it came out back in 93, 94.
hmm
But I haven't, I got out of Magic in the early 2000s. So I haven't.
So with TCG to optimize cart thing Ryan was talking about, so you can build out your entire cart of all your items, and it'll say like, oh, it's $100, right? You go to optimize cart, and within there you can put like, okay, well, I don't want to match printing. I don't want it to come from this specific set. It can come from any set as long as it's the same card. I want to change a condition to where I can receive heavily played cards or damaged cards. And damaged cards are usually like they're still sleep playable. It's not like you're getting torn cards. So I'll actually buy damaged cards all the time. And you can just do tons and tons of different like edits to that, and then it'll automatically optimize your cart based on the entire TCG website and give you the best possible price based on 3 different scenarios with new sellers with buyer protection, sellers that have 5 stars, and then through TCG directly, so TCG direct, and it gives you the 3 price points and a breakdown of your shipping as well as your base price, and then you
Do
can
you get
optimize and accept.
to do you get to see pictures of said cards? Like if
Normally,
you say I'm getting a damage, like is a potluck, you have no idea what's going to show up.
so oftentimes it is when you're talking like high-end premium cards like those like Badlands and Taigas and all that type of stuff. Normally the seller will put a picture of the card up there to show you what the condition is. So I've seen damaged cards. It's like, oh yeah, like the whole side is like frayed, and they're like, yeah, it's damaged. And like realistically, it's still sleep playable. There's some people that say, oh, it's got some water damage, and they'll include photos or like, oh, it's bent on like the corner, like the seam is bent, but it's still sleep playable. So normally on the big high premium cards, yes, you do see pictures. On the little stuff, not so much. But oftentimes, even if it's noted as damaged, like I've sold damaged cards, and realistically, it's actually heavily played. So the gauge I always put in TCG is if it's damaged, it's probably heavily played. If it's heavily played, it's probably moderate. Moderate is probably light, and then light is usually like near mint. And near mint is where you kind of get yourself in trouble, and you don't see it a lot because if you say near mint and somebody looks and says, "Oh, that looks like light play to me," then that's a whole different fiasco. So yeah, usually you'll see more light play and heavy play in there for that.
Yeah.
Ryan, I interrupted you, so continue.
No, that's cool. I'm still learning about this too, so this is good info. I keep texting John. I'm like, how do I magic? So that's all I picked up. I know I haven't gotten any Christmas games. I was trying to think. This might be the first year, or it might be like the second year in a row that I haven't gotten any games for Christmas. I don't remember what was last year, but
I gotta talk to your wife about this.
well,
Like,
there was just nothing out really this year, like that I really wanted. Like I'm kind of just sleeping until Elden Ring, I think, on any real pickups.
which just got delayed.
Oh, it did?
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
They're doing.
Well,
I haven't read the article. I just know it said it was delayed because they're trying to do some sort of editing on the tempo of the game to ensure that there was no boredom. Is what
okay.
I read. I didn't dive deep in the art. I mean, it could be like a week delay. I have no idea. I just saw
Oh
it
well.
before we hopped on.
Well, yeah, so and I haven't really played anything since I beat Mario Odyssey, so I started reading Batman comics on Comixology with a free trial, which I've never done. I'm not a DC person, but I think Batman's cool. I think Batman could be his own thing and he would still be fine. Um, so that's been fun. I like that.
Well,
But
if you want to read Batman comics, I've got the entire New 52 set, so you are welcome to read that.
yeah, I started reading, I guess, with like the Court of Owls stuff.
Oh, dude, that is a phenomenal read. I enjoyed that a
Yeah.
lot.
And
Yeah.
then I just got through Year Zero, and
Year Zero is
then
pretty
I
good.
read
Death of
Hush. That was cool.
You should look at the Death of Robin, the uh Damian Wayne, I guess. Yeah, Damian Wayne.
Mhm.
Yeah, you should look at that one. That's a good read too. So,
Yeah.
Oh, they
So,
finally killed off Damian Wayne, huh?
well, I mean,
is
comics
anybody ever
work.
really dead?
Yeah, like nobody's
Yeah.
really ever dead in comics. But yeah, so I mean, I can dive into that one a little bit. So it wasn't necessarily like a shocking death, like when it happened, because the whole thing when they're leading up to like the death of Robin, right? Like that's the whole series. But there's one book in particular that when I read it, I almost shed a tear while reading it. And it's not even because you're reading it. The entire book, all like 40, 50 pages, whatever you're reading, is just image by image. Like that's all it is. And you're not reading, it's just no text. And it's just
Mhm.
Batman, like he jumps into the Batmobile. He looks over to his right where Robin normally is. Robin's not there. Goes out to play with the dog. Robin's not there. And it's like the whole thing is just him seeing his
Sad
dead
Batman.
son. Yeah, sad Batman the whole time.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was the most heartbreaking comic I've ever like opened. It
Well,
was like just what they did with that was just shocking, like how good it was. With no words, they were just able to pull in so many emotions on that book.
yeah.
So
Cool.
I enjoyed
Stuff to look forward to. Sadness.
it. Yeah, right. Okay. So of course you can find our podcast on all of your favorite podcast applications as well as Good Pods. Find us on thegamedeflators.com. On social media, we are at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook and at Game Deflators on Twitter. Barry, if you want to shoot over to Nintendo Fuse stuff.
Yeah, sure. So you could find us on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Nintendo Fuse. You could find our podcast on YouTube as well as all podcast services, Nintendo Fuse Podcast. You could also find all those links at nintendofuse.com. And you could also find me personally on Twitter at Hawk Hellfire as well. And should I guess do a little premium, premiumeditiongames.com, where you could find the Switch Mania Playcast over there, as well as the games we have for sale. And on social media, we're Premium Edition Games everywhere except for Twitter, where we're at Premium Edition 1.
You need to
Sounds
get a
good.
recording of all that, and then you could just click
Hit
it
the button.
on. Yeah.
Hold on.
You've got so many drops.
Speaking of drops, do you have any news on Premium Edition games? Anything that we should be aware of for the people listening?
Yeah, so we closed out last time I was here. We had Series 3 open for pre-order. Series 3 is closed, did exceptionally well, and they are now in production. I'm getting emails all the time like, "Hey, I ordered Cathedral. Is it shipped yet?" Like, no, we haven't even ordered it yet. We're in the process of ordering it now. We're doing production. We're estimating March, April for the premium standards and April, May for the retros. I say estimate because the way the world works, it could go faster, it could go slower, and we just want people to be aware of that. But they are in production at this point. We also have the deluxe Robot Name Fight guides are on and ship. They're en route, but it's freight shipping, so we will hopefully have it sooner versus later. But we don't even have a tracking number on it because it's freight shipping. So when it arrives, and we'll have those out there. And when we do get those in, we'll do a second chance sale for Robot Name Fight with however many deluxe we have left, which is not going to be a lot. We did do a second chance sale for Demon's Tier and Pigeon Dev. That went extremely well too. And going forward, we've got some cool stuff in the pipeline. Been doing some meetings with some developers, and got some really exciting things that are all prospects, as well as some things that are officially done that we can't talk about yet. But look forward to the spring when, after the premium standards do ship, we'll be talking more about Series 4 and the future.
I still want to know what the hell the sound is at the end of your last direct. It has been annoying me. It has annoyed the living hell out of me since I watched that thing.
Oh, I'm so glad we went with that sound effect. Oh,
I actually
that is
just
so
went back
good.
and watched it before we recorded this morning, and I was like, I still don't know.
Oh, that
I
is
don't.
fantastic.
I wouldn't expect myself to know, though, so I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'll say it's a very popular sound effect. That's my hint,
I
which
keep
makes it
I'm
thinking
gonna
even
go
funnier.
read the comments. Somebody is smarter than me,
I keep
100%.
thinking Microsoft for some reason, or Xbox. Like that's the thing that keeps popping in my head. I'm like, no, it can't be that. But we'll figure it out.
I will say that I've had a few people DM me afterwards and say, "Hey, is it this?" And they were correct. And I said, "Yep, it is." I mean, we aren't publicly announcing anything. It isn't simply a tease, and it is simply a breadcrumb tease. And if you figure it out, you can let us know, say, "Hey, is this correct?" And we'll tell you. And if not, you'll be perplexed until we announce it. And when we do, you go, "Son of a, now I get it." Okay.
So anybody that has tweeted Barry or private messaged him, please private message me with the answer so I know. It's so
That's cheating,
frustrating.
John.
See,
No,
that's a good tease then, because if it was so obvious, then it'd be like, well, everyone knows. What's the point? You might as well just say it. When it's a tease, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
the worst part is I'm gonna feel so bad about myself when I finally learn what it is and be like, God damn it. Oh
Well,
man.
speaking of
So
teases that everybody's going to be upset when they actually learn the answers.
Well, they're going to be not going to be upset at us. They're going to be upset at themselves for not figuring it out. There's
that's
a
true.
difference.
As far as premium edition games is concerned, I will say to everybody listening, get your patches. They are fantastic. I got my Super Blood Hockey patch, and I got my new box opening patch as well, or unboxing patch. Love it. Good stuff, man. Definitely.
That was for Series 1, right?
Yeah, that was Series 1, so I was totally stoked about that. Yep. Oh,
Series
dude, yeah,
2s.
nice. That looks good. I like that. So yeah, definitely pick up those patches. Your collection is not complete until you have that patch. So,
That's true.
yep. All right. So our articles this week, which is really just one article, is controversial Pokemon Legends Arceus leak has Pokemon fans divided. And this is comicbook.com. We got Tyler Fisher again. Actually, we do a lot of his articles and review. So basically, the premise here is that there is a big Nintendo leaker guy that always leaks Pokemon stuff, or not Nintendo leaker, Pokemon leaker. And he has pretty much said that there's going to be like no item holds, there's no abilities. He has stated that you will have to catch the entire Pokedex before you can actually even catch Arceus, and fans are kind of divided over it. So, Ryan, we can kick it off to you really quick for your thoughts, then Barry, and then I'll jump in afterwards with probably nothing to say because you guys cover what I say.
Okay. So, yeah, the leaker is Riddler Coup, by the way. Credit where credit's due. So, I've talked about this before. I'm not sold on this game. I don't think it's for me. This is one of those things that whenever a Pokemon game is coming out, there's always controversy. Usually it's Pokedex related. And I started thinking about this and writing up what my thoughts were before we recorded. And I went off on this whole side thing about like, they've got that Pokemon bank system. What if they just had like a game that was like purely just battling, trading, and then they could divorce each of the game releases from needing to have everything because there would be a whole nother hub for that. But I was like, that's not really what this leak is about. This leak is about the systems that are in the game and the dumbing down of the game or however they're perceiving it. And I don't understand how this game would prohibit held items unless quick claws weren't invented for the next 200 years or something. Like maybe it doesn't work out with the game's timeline. But like as far as Pokemon having abilities and stuff, like that's just further depth and strategy. And I think to have an open world-ish thing that they're trying to go for and introduce hopefully a whole bunch of new systems that we haven't seen, cool. This is a side game. It's not a main game. Let them replace some systems that we're used to with new systems. But if if it's just a loss and just a simplification, and it's just, I don't know, run around with your Pokemon now instead of having them, you know, you can't see them now. They're 3D models everywhere. It, I don't know that that's necessarily the leap forward we need, and I think that the fans are going to buy it up no matter what. Like every time there's controversy, the fans buy it up. If it's a good new game with other new systems, I'm cool. If they're just lost, I'm out. That's my take.
For me, it doesn't bother me as much as probably some other people. And maybe it's because I'm more of a casual Pokemon fan. But when I first saw the shower, this was the game I always wanted. Like when I first watched the anime, when I first played Red and Blue, this is what I wanted. This is what I envisioned. I envisioned it on the 64, how they could use, Ocarina of Time Z targeting and, use the 3D aspects. And to get that, this is the kid in me saying yes. So no matter what, I'm going to enjoy that aspect. As for it having less features in terms of held items and stuff like that, it is a game in the past. It's the very beginning of the Pokemon storyline for humans interacting. So you can't expect modern stuff to suddenly magically appear. It would break the timeline. That would be like I'm gonna play, Grand Theft Auto in 32, and why can't I get a Harrier jet? Well, they didn't exist then, like you got to go with the scenario and the times. And that's exactly what this is. They maybe no held items because they didn't think about Pokemon holding items then. They're just discovering what they could do with Pokemon. So that to me is fine. And like you said, Ryan, maybe there'll be some new system they will introduce that will take its place or be a side grade, fine. And if there's not, then it would just be like playing Red and Blue again. There was no held items then either. You were fine then. It's just one of those things where you have to go with the fact that they're telling a story. This is a story-driven game first and a Pokemon game second, as opposed to like the mainline games where really they're Pokemon games first and story-driven games second. Because let's be real, a lot of the Pokemon stories are kind of fluff. It's I'm a kid, I'm a 10-year-old kid, and I'm going to save the world because here's a gang of bullies and we're just going to use Pokemon. And when I beat their Pokemon, they're just going to say, I'm giving up my evil plans instead of just walking over and punching you in the face because you're a 10-year-old kid and saying, screw you, I'm still doing what I'm going to do. Like you have to suspend disbelief here. And that's the same thing. This is a story-driven game. As for collecting the whole decks before you can get Arceus, there's got to be a reason for that. There's got to be a story-driven reason for that. And I don't want to say yay or nay on it. I mean, would I prefer not to do it? Sure, but if there's a good story reason why, then fine. I'm gonna play this game like every other Pokemon game. I'm going for the full decks. I'm getting everything, and halfway through, going, screw this. I want to see the end of the game and move on, and that's fine with me. That's just how I'm gonna play the game, and that's how it's gonna go. But if I'm having fun running around, and that captures my attention more, there's as long as it's not like a lot of dead ends for the sake of dead ends, like this, that you're rewarded for your exploration, then great. Then I'm gonna play like crazy because I enjoyed the Wildlands in Sword and Shield. I enjoyed being running around. If the whole game's that's even better.
So I'm still stoked, regardless, for this game. I've been so far removed from Pokemon. So Barry, you said you're a casual fan. I am not even what a casual fan would be. I played Red and Blue, I played Yellow, played Silver and Gold, and then I've taken a break until Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And now this is coming out. Like I didn't touch Sword and Shield. I'm not touching Diamond and Pearl anytime soon. Like that's just where I am with
Yeah.
Pokemon. This, to your point, is exactly what I envisioned when I played Pokemon as a kid. I feel that with Pokemon Go, we kind of got this in a sense, right? The walk around, the Pokemon are appearing, you're catching them. Like, obviously, it's not the same experience because on your phone, but that type of dynamic is what I always wanted in Pokemon, and this is going to bring it. Totally agree with your point on here with the holding of items and stuff probably wasn't thought of at that point. And I agree that, long-term fans may be upset about this if they're like hardcore, but long-term fans should probably also understand, to your point, this is very much in the early stages of Pokemon and discovery. And there's a lot of things that weren't thinking of. Were they thinking TMs and HMs and all that good stuff? Probably not. We'll probably get a tease of that, I imagine, towards the end of the story. We'll
Yeah.
see something along those lines. But yeah, until it comes out, we're not gonna 100% know. And this is meant to be a different experience altogether.
You know,
and I think
if
that's what people are missing.
you mentioned the TMs, I can imagine the opposite where it's like, oh, we've discovered this thing called a Pokemon, and oh, oh, here's a Growlithe. We've never seen this before. Hold on, let me go into my library, and I've got a library of TMs that I could just magically just have in convenience for you to train. Where'd you get those? Why did you write those? What the heck? There would be no logical reason, and people would be
Yeah,
mad about that. Like that came out of nowhere. Why would you have that? They would pick it apart.
yeah.
So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if you're going to
Hmm.
do something, I say play on the air of reasonable and hey, we've never heard of these things. Why would we have manuals to teach them moves?
Yeah.
We're just discovering what they are. So
Hmm.
I mean, that's like any
Yeah.
that's like saying, oh, I just got this automobile. I've never heard of one before. It's brand new. Oh, well, what kind of car is it? Well, there's only one. It's a Ford Model T. Oh, hold on, let me look. Here's my Chevy manuals. Here's my Toyota
Man,
manuals. Oh, here's my Ford Model T. How do you have that? This is the first one off the assembly line.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
this is what I
So,
was kind of getting sidetracked when I was looking at earlier. Like Pokemon has this legacy that no other franchise really has to deal with. Like every uh Dragon Quest game has to have a slime in it, but they don't have
Yeah.
to make 100 new kinds of slime every game and put them in every new game moving forward, or they get burned alive at the stake for not doing it. You know, you expect your references, you expect your carrying on legacy content, but Pokemon is the only one where like the community is trying to force the devs to just like, no, you've done it before, just do everything, just do everything again all the time and more.
yeah, and dude, I think the thing that excites me the most here is the origin story component of it, and I'm sure we'll see extinct Pokemon and whatnot, like things that we didn't even get teases for in prior games. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be cool to see that. And then, as far as the necessity of capturing all the Pokemon just to capture Arceus, I think that's actually pretty sweet. I mean, I see that as more of a challenge to the game, an added challenge and a bonus to really get the full Pokedex. And as far as the ease of it, I think it's better. Most games have had the experience of, well, you can only get this Pokemon like in Red and Blue. You have to trade X Pokemon to get the full Pokedex, right? Yellow, kind of, well, Yellow, I think, yeah, you'd have to trade over as well. And then Silver and Gold, you've always had like the two games that you had to do some sort of interchangeable trade or something to be able to get the full Pokedex, whereas this is just a standalone title. And
Yep.
I don't think I think it's gonna be easier in that respect, not having to worry about certain Pokemon being in one game versus the other. So that should make things a little bit less challenging in a sense, but still having that challenge and that accomplishing feel of, I captured the entire Pokedex for this game.
Since you haven't played since then, there's also other things that are made more complicated besides just trading, and some evolutions, even been Red and Blue, only evolved when you traded them. But there's some where you have to walk with them and have them for so many steps before they evolve. Some where they evolve only at night to be one and day
Yep.
to another, where you have to use a certain stone or a berry or something. Like there's all these extra complications added to it. Oh, well, this one evolves if it's a happy Pokemon into one, and this one if it's a sad Pokemon to another. Like it's complications, and I'm not saying those are bad for the main line, but it's going to make this obviously a lot easier. I
Hmm.
agree. We also don't know the size of the decks, do we? Like it's not going to be 900 or 1,000 Pokemon. It's probably going to be like 150, 200 maybe.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
much
I
more
can.
reasonable
Yeah,
numbers.
it's going to be a reasonable number because it's one area, and it's it's not going to have all that stuff, and you probably won't be able to bring in stuff from Pokemon Home. You might be able to, I don't know,
Well,
but
and
it
it's the
seems
same area, right? So they just use the same Pokemon from that same generation where they
it's
focused
it's
on
the
that region
Diamond
before.
Pearl, like Sinnoh, I think it is. I could be wrong. I'm probably a Pokemon fan. It's like, no, it's not Sinnoh. But it's like prior to, like in the
Mhm.
past, and that's why they did it along with the Diamond Pearl remakes. So if you play this and you like it, you may say, let me do Diamond and Pearl and see what that region's like, 100
All
years
grown
later
up.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for the Pokedex here, see if I can find it. But actually, I think I might have. It looks like, I think it has a mix of Pokemon from other games mixed in. Like, I haven't dove
Yeah.
too much into like the Pokedex and stuff. I've just been excited for that, open world experience of Pokemon. That's what I've been looking forward to, and the origin story. The Pokemon catching comes secondary, in my opinion.
Well, it's definitely gonna have a mix, but I'm curious the amount, like the total, because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
with like Sword and Shield, people were like, "What? It doesn't have the regional decks. It's got less thing. Oh, this sucks." And I'm on the camp of I would like a regional dex. I would like every Pokemon
Me
every
too.
game, of course, but it didn't stop me from enjoying Sword and Shield. I still played it. I still enjoyed it, and I still attempted to catch them all and totally failed, because that's just how I usually wind up playing Pokemon games.
Yeah, I
I
always
beat it, but I just never got everything.
same dude. It was always a matter of like, yeah, I want to catch them all, and it was like, nah, I just don't got time for this. Like once
Yeah,
you beat the Elite Four, you're done.
I just couldn't play Pokemon anymore. Like every Pokemon I played less and less. So it wasn't even like ever trying to shoot for that max peak. It was just like getting all the badges. Like by the time I got through Diamond and Pearl, I think that was the last one like I actually got through the Elite Four. And then after that, I just kind of like maybe got to like the fourth gym in white or black. I don't even remember which one I had. But
Yeah.
I would love for this to prove me wrong. I'm really excited to see the content on this and watch people's reactions and reviews, because it could be everything that we all imagined when we were younger, and like maybe it'll flip that spark back on me. I would love to be proven wrong.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this may be a day one purchase for you, and maybe a few months from now. We'll see how it goes.
And then I have
Yeah.
one more bit of Pokemon related content.
Oh.
Uh there was this hilarious tweet I saw this week where like somebody fed all the Pokemon images into an AI and it spit out its own like AI versions of what it thinks Pokemon look like. And they're hilarious. Like if you squint at them, they look almost like they could be real Pokemon. It's so funny.
Yeah, add
Oh
that
wow.
to pop that on Twitter.
Yeah.
See what comes up. Well, since we're talking, a Nintendo based game, Barry, do you guys have with Nintendo Fuse? Do you have any like things coming up down the pipe? Any like articles that have recently come out that are somebody might want to read?
Um, the articles that we usually post are more like the news stuff coming out. We have a team member Dave who does an amazing job with that. Just last month, maybe a month and a half ago, posted my latest industry talk with Heritage Auctions, which I was really honored to be able to do that and get their side of the whole controversy going on with WADA.
Hmm.
So it was nice to be able to sit down and be like, hey, let's talk about this. And they were open to talk, which I was like, wow, okay, cool. So that's one of the interviews I'm pushing now, just because I'm proud that I was able to even do that. That they even said like, oh, we'll take the time and sit there and talk with you. Like, oh, cool, wow, I'm a nobody, thank you. But we do have our podcast. They're on hiatus right now because of the holidays. We wanted to take some time off, but we are coming back. Yeah, I get that number. We are coming back January 17th with our 2022 predictions episode. That's always fun because we're all going to be wrong, especially me. I'm usually wrong. So 20 days, we'll be back, but we also have some game reviews coming out too. Some games from East Asia Soft. They've provided us some codes like The Letter and Hiroshio Goes Snowboarding. So, stay tuned for stuff like that too.
Cool. And then you guys record live on Mondays, right?
Yeah, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We record video live and audio live. So you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitch. Make fun of us. You could also, come in and chime in and be a part of the show, which is always fun because if you do something live, something happens, you can't cover it up. And of course, after that, it goes to post, and then that's what goes on to the platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everything like that. But yeah, the YouTube cut and the Twitch cut are both live, so you get to see it all.
Nice. So diving into the next piece here, gaming trends to end in 2021. So we do this every year. We kind of cover, some of the things that have been occurring in the prior year. So Ryan, you said gaming trends that end in 2021. It's actually 2022. But
Oh.
we look at what's happened in the year, and then we say, all right, well, this is something that was super popular in the year. It's some sort of trend in gaming. Like this needs to go away. So I can kick this one off real quick. And then Barry, I know you got the same one, so we could totally just feed off each other on this one. So I think that the trend to end in 2022 is NFTs. This is specific to gaming, and I see this as a very slippery slope for larger gaming companies to basically print money with virtual collectibles that aren't going to be worth squat. They're going to mass produce these things. They're going to claim it's a collectible. It's going to be this like unique thing that you have, and it really isn't. It's just another way to just grab your money and put it towards something that's not even fully gaming related necessarily.
Yeah, I think this whole digital thing is garbage. Square just put out a letter like, "Oh, we're fully embracing NFTs and digital stuff," and I'm like, no, no. And my, well, I do pick NFTs as well. I also do kind of a side thing, which is games as a service, and like like I'm not a fan of games as a service. If it's an MMO, that's different because this is designed as that. When you take a single player game and you're like, oh, it's a games as a service, that no longer makes it a real single player MMO. Like it's no longer an offline game. It has to be online. It has to be connected. And I think the biggest one that really upsets me is from Square, Babylon's Fall, Platinum game developed. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a games as a service. Like, no, I just lost all interest in it. So I want to see those disappear. I want, if a single player game, I want it to be single player offline, can just enjoy it on your own without internet. And for Christ's sake, give us a physical copy of it. Like, let us be able to own the damn thing.
And that's the thing. Like I was reading some of the EA's like this is a physical like digital copy of something that you can own because it's an NFT and all that, and you got the cryptocurrency stuff tied to it. Like I don't like do kids growing up nowadays need to be subjected to NFTs and cryptocurrencies at a young age? Like the answer is really no. And I mean
Well,
gaming should be for
they're
everyone.
like in every mobile game, there's three kinds of currency to try to,
Yeah.
fiddle with your understanding of how much money you're really dumping into it. So I would say if anybody's used to it by now, kids are. That doesn't necessarily mean that they've got a great understanding or appreciation for it.
Well,
They're
that's the issue.
definitely used to it.
Well, and that's the big issue is that do they have a full understanding of what they're doing? And it's not necessarily their money that's going into cryptos and NFTs, it's their parents' money. And I think that that is a slippery slope as we move forward with this in
I want to meet
2022.
the parents whose like kid like invested and all of a sudden the parents are like, well, I guess that like paid off. Like there's got to be some portion of kids
Yeah.
that like took their parents' wallet, invested in Dogecoin and like made a ton of money or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Man.
there is.
Yeah.
But that's what these game companies are doing, though. They know their audience. They know
Mhm.
their audience is the kids. Like, we're collectors, we're adults, we buy games. They're happy with our money. But the truth is we're smart enough to know. Oh, okay. Well, this is not something I need to own. I'm fine with just playing the game. What they're trying to do is they're trying to indoctrinate kids into thinking this is the future, so that as the kids grow up knowing this is the way it is, they're soon going to become the adults with the money, and it's going to be acceptable because that's
Mhm.
what their childhood was like. It's
Yeah.
phasing us out and bringing them up to make this the future. And the only way to stop that is for us to put our foot down and say no. Like, we're the reason gaming is as great as it is. The people developing the game, you are our generation too. Like, what are you doing? You're preying on kids. You're
Yeah.
preying on FOMO. There's only one of this, only one of this, only one of this. It's this little picture. It's one of this. You have to get it. $1 million. Oh, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. You're preying on people. NFTs are garbage. Give us these games that we enjoy. Make gaming about gaming. Make it about fun. Don't make it about milking money out of kids or their
Yeah,
Well,
parents'
and I've heard so many people say NFTs are the future, NFTs are the future. Well, NFTs are the future because you keep saying it's the future. It's something that you're throwing down our throats, hoping that we'll buy into it. And if these kids buy into it, then yeah, it'll be the future, and it's not a very bright future. And I can see
wallet.
this being overproduced garbage that is not worth anything. You
Sometimes
know?
they'll say like that. They'll just repeat things. If I say it enough times, it's true. But
Yeah.
remember back in 2000, I'm gonna say five-ish maybe, when smartphones were really starting to come into their fruition and mobile games were like, mobile's the future, mobile's the future. Oh, why do you need a handheld console? You can just play on mobile. Look at all the games you get for 99 cents. The DS still thrived beyond belief, and the PSP did exceptionally well. And obviously, mobile games weren't the future because dedicated handhelds still existed with the 3DS and Vita, and obviously the Switch now. So they told us mobile games of the future, mobile games of the future. Oh, look at this. You want this game with shitty microtransactions because that's better than you buying a full-fledged 60-hour RPG for $40. Um, that didn't pan out. So they're
well, I
trying
mean,
something new.
mobile gaming is like they do make more money than console gaming does.
But I think
Yeah,
that's
but it's
part.
not dominated.
Yeah, and I think the reason why mobile makes so much is because so many people have mobile phones and are buying these games, but it doesn't necessarily, to Barry's point, doesn't necessarily mean it's the future and it's like overtaking gaming as a whole. Like if
Yeah.
it was overtaking gaming as a whole, you wouldn't have PlayStation, you wouldn't have Nintendo, you
It's
wouldn't have
just a
Microsoft,
different platform. Like the most played shooter is on mobile. It's like some mobile Call of Duty variant or something like that.
which
And
is
it's
hot
just,
garbage, by the way.
well, the thing is, it's just people have access to it. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
all it is.
and the convenience of it, like there's a lot there that is, I mean, it's enough to get by, and I feel like that's a big problem like I have with mobile gaming is like I find it hard to take seriously because it is so just like passively something you can do. Like I'm so excited for the play date because it's like a physical thing with actual buttons and it serves a purpose. It's not just like, oh, I read all my text messages. Oh, I've gone through my Google feed. I guess I can do this now. It's not just like a last resort function. It's like an actual desired thing to do.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, and I feel like we all kind of approach mobile gaming that way. And I mean, I don't know, how did we get on this? We were talking about NFTs and stuff. Sorry.
We got
trends.
into trends.
Trends.
Trends to
Um,
ends.
But the thing also with mobile is, like you said, convenience. But I think people now, like they were positioning mobile to be the replacement, and I think now mobile is more of a supplementary.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, I've got 20 minutes before bed, 10 minutes before bed. I'm lying here. Let me just play a quick round of whatever on my mobile device and be done with it. Cool. I don't think people are coming home from school or work or going, I can't wait to sit in front of my phone and play 6 hours of a mobile game. Like I want to sit there and play 6 hours of Witcher or Final Fantasy or Call of Duty or whatever is your vice, whatever you want to play. I don't think we were ever getting to that point. I think it's more like a supplement. Like I got to go take a crap. Hold on, I could play this while I take a crap. Cool.
I mean,
I could play a round or two.
You
you
do
could
have your
buy like
Switch.
You
every
can.
Final Fantasy up to 9, I think, on mobile now.
Yeah, but who
Yeah.
wants to play it on there when you can play it
Yeah.
on like a Switch?
But
Like
how many people are playing it is a question.
Yeah, I
yeah, and like
wonder.
how often and how much grinding. I mean, like, do you want, to Barry's point, man, do you want to sit there and play 50 hours of Final Fantasy 7 or something on your mobile phone? Probably not. Like, you're going to get more enjoyment playing that game on a TV or on a Switch with actual physical buttons.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see both points. Like mobile, it's not necessarily an offshoot and it's not making money and it's not relevant, because it certainly is relevant. There's a lot of great games that are on mobile and some games that have been released physically that started as mobile games. But at the same time, it is supplementary to what we're doing in the industry and what we see. And Barry, I mean, I think you're right in regard to, it's not like something you're going to sit down for hours. I have friends who have teenagers and the kids will sit there and play whatever, mobile Final Fantasy game there is, and they'll spend 15-20 minutes with it. And then it's done. Like they set it aside and out pops the 3DS or out pops
Mm.
the Switch. So yeah, I mean,
Most of the games are daily games.
yeah,
They have daily
yep,
logins. They've got daily objectives, and most of the time, and I'm guilty of it too. We pull out our phone when we have 5-10 minutes. Let me do my daily thing, so I don't have to worry about it
yep,
later. Boom, I did it. Put it down.
yep.
Great.
And
And it's
that's
just
all it
like
is.
one more. It's like a checklist. One more thing I got to do for the day. That's
Yeah.
really all it is.
And exactly, and that's where I think mobile games is very much on a bottom tier when we talk gaming, and consoles and PC and such are going to be at that top tier. So Ryan, what was I was going to dive into another trend, but let's what's your trend? As we kind of
So
look at time here.
yeah, bots, man. Like I was thinking about it. I was reading it. I was seeing it everywhere. People are trying to get their hands on consoles. People are trying to get their hands on the last graphics cards. They just announced the next new graphics cards, which nobody's going to be able to get their hands on except for these freaking bots. Like I know that they're trying to pass like some Congress bill or something. And in the past, I've been a little bit like, I mean, yeah, they're assholes, but like, is it something that should be illegal? And the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, this is just like it. The world is hard enough. Like everything sucks enough. Like without these people just being out there for themselves like this, like it's a retail product for people to enjoy, to like for kids to be able to blow off steam because they got to deal with school and growing up in the world. Like there's no reason for that. Get rid of these people's bots. Don't put anybody in jail. Just get rid of the bots. Make sure that everything is like fair access for people and make it so that, like, I know that you can go to GameStop sometimes, they're doing these announcements, but it's not just for the console. You have to buy like a $900 care package in order to get, and you might not want all of that. You might not be able to afford that. You might only be able to afford the console. And now the only way that they can compete with the bots is to outprice the consumer even at the store.
Yeah,
But at
and
least at that point, you're getting something for the $900 versus the
Yeah.
$900 you pay a scalper and you're just getting the $500 system.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, for sure. You are getting your value's worth, but like when they can't even really respect like the MSRP because they have to circumvent, like it's gotten to that point now that like I can't I can't turn away. Like I may have been on the wrong side of it for too long anyways, but like I just want to see the bots go away and let people have their next gen consoles and graphics cards.
when you had mentioned like you don't want to see people in jail on it, I don't either. But at the same time, if you think about things like price gouging, right? People that were buying toilet paper during the 2020 toilet paper epidemic, like people were throwing this stuff online and getting in trouble for it because they were price gouging on something that was a desired product. Now, obviously, that's more of a
Buy a
necessity
bidet,
product.
you filthy animals.
Well, I got a bidet, I never hooked it up. Um, but like, people are getting in trouble for price gouging. It's kind of in the same respect, right? If you're owning a bot system and you're buying $30,000-$40,000 worth of PlayStation consoles or Xbox consoles because you can, and then flipping them for double the price. I mean, in a sense, that is the exact same thing that price gouging is. Like you're just price gouging the market. And it's not, and people say, oh, well, it's capitalism, it's a fair market. No, it really isn't, because it's now an unfair market. What you've done
Yep.
is just taken existing products that are actually in a quantity on the shelves that people can physically go out and purchase if they wanted to, and you're doubling the price. And as far as GameStop is concerned, those bundles, I think it's just GameStop taking advantage of the fact that, taking advantage of a market. Hey, you can't get a PlayStation for, $800 more dollars. And we're not talking about GameStop doing this online only to circumvent scalpers. They are doing this in store. They are forcing you to purchase bundles of these game consoles. So it's not even in the same respect as like, we're doing this to try and prevent scalpers from buying, all of our PlayStations, because now they have to pay $900 and they get a bunch of games and controllers and things they can't easily flip, because you can buy PlayStation controllers or PS5 controllers all day long in a Walmart or Best Buy. I see them all the time. You can buy games all day long. You can't buy the PS5s all day long. And I think that's just GameStop taking advantage of a situation and trying to make as much money as they can. And kudos to them for taking advantage of it while they can. Totally understand what they're doing. But I do think that the bot system should be made illegal, and those that are actively using it and caught should be fined, like they would with price gouging.
I'm with you, of course, but I wouldn't mind some jail time because these people know exactly what they're doing. They are breaking the law. Price gouging is illegal, and they know it. And it's not like they can feign ignorance because they set up a bot. They're buying $30,000 worth of PlayStations and Xboxes. Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. Bull crap. You know exactly what you're doing. You're doing this to take advantage. And it's one thing if you went to a store, let's say they have PS5s, they had Xboxes, limit one per customer. You waited in line at 4 a.m., you got there, you bought it, and then you come home and you say, I want to flip it. That's fine. I mean, you're welcome to do that. You're putting in the time, you're getting it the same chance as everybody else. When you're botting and you're getting so many, and it's not like, oh, I bought it and I've got one and I'm flipping it. It's literally, look at me, I'm surrounded by Xbox Series X's. Who wants to buy one? You know exactly what you're doing and you're flaunting it off. You're
Yeah.
literally announcing to the world, I'm a scumbag. The reason your kids don't get what they want or you don't get what you want is because of me. Hallelujah. Now pay me $900 for a system. That's what they're doing. And to me, I agree with you. Bots are garbage. They should be illegal. They should be stopped. And the worst part is what stores are starting to do is they're trying to prevent bots by making it harder for humans to actually do it. More hoops for us to hurdle and go through. And it's annoying even now. Like, I'm not a robot. Yes, I'm not a robot. Like, I had to click that all the time. I hate that. Let me just log in. Let me just go into my account. Let me
Well,
just buy something I want to buy.
and I think that there should be fines that are put on these retailers as well for allowing these bots to go. So, like when your GPUs are selling out and you look at the orders that are done, there should be some sort of automated process to determine, hey, 40 of these or 50 of these went to
Yeah.
one flipping person. And it's absurd. Like, they say, oh, well, we're preventing this. But after, like, the whole thing with NVIDIA and AMD, there were people flaunting their orders of 30 and 40 GPUs and then taking pictures of it when they arrived to the one address. That is so, like, that is just post sale. You can very easily cancel that sale, and they're
Oh yeah,
not.
they
And
should.
that's what's so frustrating about it. So I think that there should be fines levied against a bunch of those retailers as well.
Agreed. If they're not doing the catch, because again, if someone says, "Well, I got 3 of them and they got sent to 3 different addresses, and I'm gonna flip them," that's fine. You got 3 of them. Congratulations. You did it the same way everybody else did. You were there. Again, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But when it's a bot and you're getting that many of them, it's ridiculous. It's
Hmm.
clearly you're doing this with malicious intent. You're
Yeah.
doing this with the intent to gouge people, especially during the holiday season. And I mean, we've seen toy flippers do it for years, Beanie Babies, Tickle Me Elmos, Tamagotchis, you name it. But there weren't bots. There were people waiting in line. It's like the equivalent of going to a store and seeing someone roll up with a cart and just like put their arm on a shelf
Yeah.
and put everything in their cart walking away. Like if you see somebody like that, you probably want to punch them in the face. And I think most people do because they're clearly an asshole. And that's why we have to have limits on things. We have to prevent someone from doing that. Because I've seen that with Amiibo.
Yeah.
Amiibo launches where they had to limit it because people were like, I'll take all of them right now. Like first in line, I'll take all of them. Screw the rest of the people here. What? Why? What are you gonna do? You're clearly gonna flip them. You don't need 100 of each Amiibo. You're just doing it for that reason.
Yeah.
So it's disgusting.
And to your point, like, if you go into a store and you wait and you find a couple of them, like if I walked into, I'll say right now, if I walked into a store right now and I saw two PS5s, would I buy them both? Probably. Would I try to flip for 800? Probably not. I'd probably sell it to Ryan at what I got it for.
Yeah.
So that way he has one,
You're a good friend,
but
John.
good
That's
friend. Yeah. But I mean, that's realistically the way it should be done. And
Yep.
what they need to start doing is stop selling these things online and start releasing them physically in store and limiting the amount of purchases in store.
Yeah, when
That's
the
realistically what
PS5
needs to
and the
happen.
Series X came out, I pre-ordered 2 of them each
Yeah.
from 2 different retailers each. And the reason I do that is because I don't trust uh, any of them from even coming in. Like I expect cancellation, they oversold. So I got 2 for that very reason to guarantee. And ironically, all 4 systems came in. So I did exactly what you did. I sold to my friends for cost. I said,
Yeah.
just pay me cost with tax, and you get it for that price. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
need extra money.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a crazy thing. I hope that in 2022 we do see that one end for sure. Well, diving into our next piece here, Ryan, you finally did something.
I did it. I beat Mario Odyssey. It was a triumph. I can't believe it. I'd like to thank all the people that made this possible. But really at the end of it, I was looking back at my time and the words that I wrote here, I think that I am disenchanted. Like I had a pretty good time playing this game. It was gorgeous. I love Mario worlds. They're always so imaginative and creative. The controls were really good. I mean, I was playing on the Pro controller most of the time, even though every time I started the game was like, hey man, you know that we got all this extra stuff that you can do if you want to waggle around a bit. And I'm like, that's okay. Um, the level designs were great. I love the hat mechanic. Everything in this is like a really great, well-made game. I think it absolutely lives up to all the hype and the praise. But at the end of the day, like after the credits rolled and the game was like, "Hey, dude, there's a lot more left that you can do here." I was like, "That's fine. I think I'm just done." And I don't have like a huge legacy of doing a lot of Mario games. I've played plenty of platformers. I had a really good time a couple years ago with The Messenger. There just was something about this that I just wasn't grabbed in the way that it has grabbed so many other people, and I don't really know why or what it is because I can't think of a real negative thing to say about it. And I mean, I wasn't expecting to have my ass kicked so much either. Like I must have fought that brutal mech thing like at least a dozen times because I just couldn't ever just get through on that last sliver of health. Like I had some challenge in this game. It wasn't like, oh, it was so easy. I just was bored or anything like that. I don't really know how to pin it down, but It's weird to both enjoy and then not really have a lot of positive experience to look back on at the same time.
I think what it was for you is you might have been overhyping yourself with this game. And so when you look at it in that respect, you're like, wow, this is a great game, but I feel like it just missed the mark on that really like big hype that I was expecting for this. I think this is one of the greatest Mario games ever made, in my opinion. And maybe Ryan, it's because you didn't have all those great amiibos, so you can make more costumes.
Mm.
That might be what it was. Yeah, have you ever seen Mario in a dress? I have, because I have the amiibo for it.
Oh, dude, once I got pirate Mario with the One Piece hat, I was like, that's it.
Barry, are you ready to throw Ryan out of a building at this point?
No, because here's why. Everyone's going to enjoy every game differently. There's plenty of people who love like Crash Bandicoot, for example. Oh my God, the Crash games are great. And I played the Crash games back on the PlayStation. I played the Insane Trilogy, and I still think they're hot garbage. I think they're poor level designs. I think they control like ass. I think a lot of the platforming is just unfair and just not well designed. And I understand that for a lot of people that was their childhood. They had a PlayStation, they didn't have Nintendo. This was what they grew up with. So they didn't get that perfection of platformers. So I get that. And that's fine. And if you love Crash and is your favorite franchise ever, you know what? That's great for you. I'm not going to take that away from you. I wouldn't. Gaming is about enjoyment. For me, I didn't enjoy that. So I loved Odyssey as well. I love Mario platformers. I think Odyssey was great. I loved the dark side of the moon, and darker side of the moon gave me a challenge, and I loved conquering that. I felt so accomplished. I got all the balloons, all the moons. I mean, I got 999. I got the biggest balloon there is. By just buying, farming gold and buying moons. Like got all the costumes at the time, none of the DLC, but I fell in love with that game. I loved that game so much. But I also understand it's not for everybody. And the fact that Ryan stuck through and actually beat the game is a testament to how great it is, because he was still, hey, I'm giving this game a full chance. I'm not playing the first world or the second world and saying that's it. There's a lot of challenge to get to that point. It's up to him if he wants to go further, and maybe down the road he will. But I'm happy he enjoyed himself for the most part. I'm glad he likes the game, and that he absolutely accomplished his goal, which a lot of people don't accomplish their goals. And for that, that's all there is to it. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Why should I?
Well, Ryan, I do have to say, but I think one of the reasons you stuck through it is you had Spice Girls on the PlayStation 1 looming above you as the punishment for not completing.
I couldn't disappoint everybody after what happened with Persona 4, so I needed to come through on this one. I will say that I didn't play it all in one go. I played it throughout the year at different parts, so I don't know if maybe that affected it. I did notice like earlier this year when I can't remember the actual game that's the remake, but it had the Bowser's Fury. Is it Mario 3D
3D
Land?
World.
3D World plus Bowser's
Great
Fury?
game as well.
The Bowser's Fury part, the coverage I saw of that looked really cool, and
It's
it sounded
awesome.
really interesting as like a new direction. So like I'm not really looking forward to going and revisiting old Mario again anytime too soon, but I am looking forward to the future of Mario and potentially where they can go with it. I always see Mario as like a pillar of just where gaming is. You can kind of look in on Mario games and be like, oh, I guess this is kind of like the next thing moving forward in the industry. This is kind of like the stamp of like where we are now. So the next Mario, like maybe the next Mario on the next platform is what it's going to be for me.
Now,
But
Bowser's Fury is only like a 6-hour adventure. Like it's really, really quick, easy to beat, and even not that much longer to get 100% on. Is that
mhm.
something that you would give a shot to? Because it is different. It's like a Odyssey meets 3D World kind of meets Sunshine kind of controls. It's its own beast, and it's
Yeah,
it's
I don't
very unique.
know.
I have it,
Did you
Ryan,
pick
so
that
you
one
can
up?
borrow it. Yeah, I
Okay,
have it,
yeah.
so you can borrow it.
Yeah, I would probably check that out at some point.
Barry, do you know if that's on the cart or if it's DLC?
Oh no, it's on the cart.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Ryan, you can totally borrow it from me if you want.
Sweet. There we go.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. It's not even open, so
Oh
Yeah.
wow, you haven't played it yet? Oh,
No, dude.
it's
Yeah,
quick
dude.
but fun.
Dude, my shelf is so many sealed games that
Oh,
I just
I
like pick
hear
up.
you, but
Yeah.
like a Mario game, like you gotta play that. Like,
Oh, I know. Well, that's it's one I'll probably play with my wife. So it's just not one that's like, hey, we should totally play Bowser's Fury right now.
It's got to
I
be
think
so hard because
it's
you pick
quick.
up every Switch game. So it's like I was going to ask you earlier, like, but I kind of pulled from context. Like, it sounds like Arceus is going to be a game you're going to open and play right away.
Yeah, Arceus. Like I have my pillar games that I like. These are games I'm gonna play. I look forward to them when they come. I will play immediately, and then when there's downtime, I'll go back to either my backlog or a game I just didn't get to finish. Like I never got to finish Shin Megami Tensei 5 because Endwalker came out, so that like ruined that. And I might go back. So I'm trying to do all my Endwalker stuff before, at least all the main stuff I want to get done before Arceus comes out. But when there's backlog, when there's that empty spot, that's when I'll do my marathons of games and I'll go back. But I won't open a game until I'm ready to play it.
So speaking of backlog, our new games resolutions for 2022.
Mm.
We do this every year. Ryan is, I think, 2 for 3, if I'm correct, on his. We are not going to count your 3 not Xenoblade. I always say we're not going to count your 3 Zone of the Enders as 3 individual years. But yeah, you're 2 for 3. I am currently 3 for 3. So Barry, this is the first time I think we've had a guest come on to say, "What are you declaring is that game that you've always wanted to play but just hadn't?" I'll kick this one off. So for me, and you guys are going to shit all over me again, even though it's now recording. I am going to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the N64.
How could you, John?
How
could you?
So I've really wanted to dive more into N64 games, and I started to do that a bit last year when I picked Honkers as my game. Phenomenal game. Absolutely loved it. And really what it kind of comes down to is I've picked up a lot of N64 games over the years. I haven't really played them a whole lot. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I didn't have an N64 until college. I didn't start picking up N64 games until that period of time. Big PS1, PS2, PS3 players for a number of years. So there's a lot of games on those consoles that I beat all the way through. Some of them I replayed. Final Fantasy X, I think 3 times I beat that game. And some of it's just, life, getting in the way and just it not being a high priority console for me to jump into. Now I really want to dive into that and make that effort to play more N64 games. Part of it also is I've always hated the N64 controller. It's just not my favorite controller. And I've played things like Mario Party over the years with it and played a little Mario 64 and whatnot. I just absolutely hated the controller. A complete dog shit, in my opinion. Worst controller of all time. And so now that Barry's like increasingly the bubble gets bigger. But now that I got my Brawler 64 controller, I can play more N64 games like a normal human being and have both hands on there and feel great about it. So that's really what I'm looking forward to, having the Brawler type controller. So if you haven't seen one of those yet, it's totally worth picking up. I love how it handles. And finally being able to play these 2 games completely. I did play them in the past, killed lots of chickens, jumped into temples with friends as they were getting angry over it, played it on and off. Remember frustrations around Majora's Mask with I think it's like the 3-day period that you have like in game to technically beat it. So there's a lot of good times I had with friends years ago, but nothing that's like super relevant today. But I'm going to be like, that was a fantastic experience and I got to get back into it. So that's what I'm diving into. I'm super excited to play them. Better late than never on these 2 games. And we'll see what it holds and what I might want to dive into next.
I think you're crazy, dude. I can't wait to get one of those N64 controllers for the Switch just so that I can hold an N64 controller again. It feels like new.
You can just come over to my house. I got like 40 of them.
No, a new one. Your controllers are never... Well, some of your controllers aren't always the greatest.
I've replaced...
You're like, let's test these ones out today.
Oh, that's Sega. That's different. Sega controllers are just like on and off, dude. But no, my N64 controllers, I've replaced a lot of those analog sticks over the years.
Now, I want to know, are you going to do it on original hardware? Are you going to
do 100% original hardware. Not playing on GameCube or anything like that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Now, what about Master Quest? Are you gonna do Master Quest?
We'll see when I get done with these 2 games because I do want to play Arceus as well, and I don't know how much time that's going to dive into. And
we have the whole year. You're going to play more than Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Arceus in the entire year, I would hope.
There's some big stuff that I might have going on this year, so we'll see. Yeah.
All right,
but that's the plan.
So I've been talking about new games resolution for weeks now, and I've been throwing out all kinds of ideas, and I haven't really been able to settle on anything. And when I really sat down and looked at the list I came up with, I wasn't excited to play any of the stuff. I was like, oh well, I've never played any of the Dooms. I could just play as many Dooms as I want. But it's like I'm not like, let's get in there and rip and tear. Like I'm just not feeling that. So I sat back and I thought of the real meaning of the holiday. And as I was looking through Xbox Game Pass, like a shining star on a Christmas night, I was led to the true choice, and it is religion. I am doing Dante's Inferno so that I can finally use that momentum to beat God of War and prepare for Ragnarok. I think that this is the obvious choice. I've wanted to play this game for so long. I think it was just that I didn't have like a PS3 when it came out or something. Like I remember loving the trailer for this with the "Ain't no sunshine when she's gone," and he's like fighting his way through hell. I love that. And I just never got around to it. I love the God of War series. I'm excited for the action and the gore. Bring it on.
So Ryan, if you want to play it on the superior console, I do have a copy on PS3 for you. Now that you have a PS3.
Dude,
It was on 360 as well.
I know,
Game
but
Pass,
PS3
Series
is a
S.
superior. Yeah, superior console though.
Actually, between the two of them, 360s were usually the better games because games were developed first for for a 360 and then ported to PS3, which
I
is why
know.
a lot of PS3 versions are not as good.
See, I
know.
don't know
I know.
why.
I just like shitting on Ryan about Xbox.
Yeah, I don't know why maybe I just assumed it was for PS3 because I
No, it's on
had an
360
Xbox
too.
It's on three. Yeah,
360.
it's
I
on
just
360
never
as well.
played it.
Yeah, no, it's on
Yeah.
both.
It was not a PlayStation exclusive.
Nope, definitely was not. I mean, it could have
No,
been a
it's just
time, but I don't think
it's
it
just
ever
one I
was.
missed the boat on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've owned my copy for a long time. My wife beat it. I think she beat it like 3 or 4 months ago. She beat Dante's Inferno. Super quick game too, so you should be able to complete it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Barry, what do you have going on for 2022? What's that one game that you have
Well,
to finally play?
I've been doing since the pandemic. I've been going back and doing a lot of marathons and playing games that, series that I just totally missed. Totally missed. I thought like the Uncharted series. Totally missed it. Danganronpa, uh, which I did this past year. I did Danganronpa and I did Devil May Cry. Two series I completely just didn't mess around with, and it was great. There was going to be a third marathon, but just time. And the third one that I was going to do, which I'm hoping to accomplish this year, at least in some capacity, because they're big games, is the Yakuza series. I've heard nothing but good things
Oh,
about Yakuza, and I have them all, so I'm like, oh, I should play them. And I was like, I could play them all on PS4 because they're all there. I was like, that's makes it nice and easy. So at least in terms of getting at least one done, I would start obviously with Yakuza 0 and start from there. And that's what
so
I
you're
hope
gonna go
to accomplish.
chronological
Yeah,
rather than release order?
yeah,
That is a lot of.
0, 1, 2, 3. All the way,
Yeah.
I have them all up to 7 plus Judgment and Lost Judgment. So
I need to buy Judgment and Lost Judgment, dude. That's a lot of hours of gaming.
that's why I
Those
said I
those
don't
are
know.
long. Yeah, I think
Well,
Yakuza 0 is the shortest, and that's at like 30 something hours, if I'm correct.
I mean, I did the Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel series too. Yeah, now these are like 80 to 100-hour games. I did the 4
Jeez.
of them. I did, like I love these marathons because I get to go in and just experience an entire story, entire arc without having to wait. I could just jump right in. And I did like the Quantic Dream games, Heavy Rain and
Hmm.
Beyond and Detroit back to back, seeing how those evolved. And I enjoy doing that because when there's some time in between those big releases, it's like these are ones that fell off the radar. It's impossible to play all these games. Let me go back and let me experience them. And of course, if a game doesn't resonate with me, I'm like, all right, I tried, but I try and push through at least the first title and see where it goes. And it's been interesting. It's been
I've
fun. I
heard
do recommend it.
I've heard nothing but good things about Yakuza, and like you, I started picking them up over the last few years on PS4 with those re-releases, and then I do have the originals as well on
Yeah,
PS3
I have the
and
original.
PS2. But yeah,
I would
dude,
play
like
PS4.
that sounds good. Another one that I was considering, by the way, instead of Ocarina of Time: Majora's Mask, was doing the Tenchu series and
Hmm.
Oh,
playing
there's another one.
those. Yeah, so that's one I considered as well. But ultimately decided these are the two that I need to knock out, and
Yeah, these are
you
bigger
know,
games.
yeah, they're much bigger games, and Tenchu much shorter, and I can totally play with as an 8 point. So
Exactly. Yeah, you get your Zeldas in too. I mean, have you
yeah, yeah.
played all the Zelda games but those two?
No, I've gone through kind of like Ryan in a sense with Zelda. I'll play them through to a certain point, and then something else comes out. So like Wind Waker, dude, I'm like I don't know 3/4 of the way through Wind Waker on the Wii U. I pick it up, I play it for a few days, and then I put it down, and then I go into something else, and
Wind
it's just how
Waker
I
was
am with
my
those.
first Zelda that I
Zelda,
really
like
beat.
I'll be completely honest, like with me growing up not playing a lot of Nintendo outside of a Super Nintendo when it first came out, I didn't play a lot of, there wasn't a lot of hype for me in Zelda games growing up. So that's something that over the years I've begun to play more and more and like dive into. But it's still, I don't have that nostalgia everybody else has for Zelda. Like it's out of all of them, it's not like if you were to look at Mario, Zelda, Star Fox, and like Metroid, for example, Star Fox and Zelda are going to be lower than Metroid and Mario for me, just because for one thing, platformers, and I love platformers, and then the other thing being is those just weren't games that I really played growing up.
You didn't have a Nintendo growing up?
No, man, I my
The
first system was
Nintendo.
a Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay. So, see,
Yeah,
from
so
like when back as a kid playing like the original Zelda, it
yeah,
was an
you started with that.
experience. It
Hmm.
was it was such an it was an open world game before open world games were really a concept. Even if you boot it up now, going in blind, you're gonna have a great time because you have to discover everything. The dungeons aren't
Hmm.
laid out for you. You're not led. You explore and you have to find and it just that sense of discovery was unparalleled, especially in an age before the internet, where you would go to school with your map and you would draw it on graph paper and you would just be like, "Hey, did anyone find level 7? I'm looking for level," and it was such an experience.
And so my thing growing up was like Mortal Kombat fatalities because I
Oh
played a
yeah,
lot of
did
Mortal
that
Kombat
too.
growing up, right? So write down a fatality, give it to your buddy, and you're like, "Oh
Yep.
man, this is sweet! Like you gotta try it." And the one game, like for example, on N64, I did play when I was younger a lot was Wave Race.
Oh,
I
such a
played
good
that a
game.
lot. Yeah, I know, it's so good. But that's because my cousin owned an N64, but I played like that and WWF. God, which one was it? No Mercy,
No
I think is
mercy.
what it was. So those were games that I played a lot of growing up. On Nintendo, the ones I played most were I guess is it Glover or Glove Ball? Played that. Some of the original Mario, but like my uncle owned a Nintendo. I didn't own a Nintendo. I owned a Super Nintendo. So when I went to his house, he only had like 3 games to play.
Uh,
And like going from I'm playing Mortal Kombat and Super Mario World to as a kid, I'm going to jump into the regular Mario and Glove Ball. It just wasn't the same, right? So as things progressed for me, and I made the jump from Super Nintendo to PlayStation, so there wasn't that N64 jump. I went directly to PS2 because of Final Fantasy X and Eco. There wasn't like a lot of hype for me on GameCube. It wasn't something I played. So, I went through all these years not playing these Nintendo consoles. And honestly, like I bought my Wii after the Wii U was out, like
oh my
for quite
god.
a while. So, I mean, like, so my Nintendo gap is actually pretty big. So I'm doing a lot of
Huge.
catch up right now. So if you were to come to me and say, like, hey, John, I'm going to play, this, game on PlayStation 2, I'm like, whoa, you never played that? Like, that's the reaction I have that some people are going to have with, whoa, you haven't played all these Zelda games? Same concept, just the
Which is
opposite.
which is fine, and sometimes I think it's better experiencing the games as you're older because you can
Hmm.
appreciate them more.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to the
Uh,
most is being able to dive into them at a later age than as a kid and honestly forgetting what that experience was.
Also understanding console limitations, like a lot of people be like, "Oh, I played Mario 64 and I don't see what the big hype was about because it's the graphics aren't photorealistic." Well, yeah, it's N64, but you have to remember at the time that was the first 3D platformer that got it done right. Every other 3D platformer beforehand was garbage. It was
I will
hot
say
garbage.
the
They set the
camera
standard.
angles,
They made the
the
world we live in and play in now.
Yeah.
the the camera angles on N64 for Mario or Mario 64 is some of the worst I've ever experienced, but the game itself is pretty good.
But
Like,
those camera angles are 1,000% better than all the other 3D platformers at the
oh, I
time.
know. Oh, I know. Like trying to do Banjo Kazooie is
Oh,
like
Banjo-Kazooie was amazing. That came
it
out
is.
after.
Oh yeah, I know. But like the cam on that too, the camera angles are a little better, but still, like it's that limitation that you're talking about,
Go
right? It's
go
not
play
like what we
play
have today.
Bubsy 3D and Jumping Flash and stuff like that.
There's a reason those games are like poorly rated.
I've never played Jumping Flash. It always looked really interesting because that's the one where like you go up and then you auto like look
Yeah.
down so that you can
Yeah.
track where you're gonna land,
We played
right?
that. It's on the PS1 Classic, I think.
Yeah, it
I think we
is.
played Jumping Flash. Yeah, you have that game.
Did we play it?
Yeah, with Bubsy, when they did like the Bubsy re-release or remastered, whatever it was, I'm just
It's a
thinking the whole
new
time
game.
like Bubsy with new camera angles, like that's what it or fixed camera angles, something along those lines. Like like really hype up the stuff they got wrong and put that on like the cover.
Well, they went 2D at least. They didn't do a 3D thing with that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the 3D was hot garbage.
I
But
didn't
no, there's
even.
there's so
Yeah,
many great games on all systems, and it's impossible to play them all. And I think if you limit yourself to one system, you're missing out. But you're obviously going to have more nostalgia for that system, especially as a kid. You don't have a lot of money, so you get whatever your parents buy you and whatever you get as gifts and stuff like that.
and that's really what it comes down to. So that's when I bring up the whole thing of college. It's like, well, it was released on this console and this console. Like, yeah, but even in college, I didn't have the money to do
No.
that. It wasn't until after graduating and diving deep into collecting and being able to understand the process of flipping and all of that to keep like increase your collection growth. And I mean, we all do it as collectors. You buy a big lot of something, you keep what you want, you sell the excess that you don't need, so you can continue buying more games. And there's no getting around that as collectors. But I mean, now that I've accumulated as many games as I have, it's fun to start like looking forward to playing a lot more of those titles.
If you never did it on the GameCube, I highly recommend Eternal Darkness.
Oh, we
Yeah,
just did that a couple weeks ago,
Did you?
actually.
yeah, we started playing that when we got.
It's so
God,
good.
man, I wanted to keep playing that game, but we had to
It's
start recording.
so good.
But yeah, I saved my progress in that one, and Eternal Darkness is on the list as well, dude. Like I picked that game up years ago on the cheap, just because everyone told me this is a fantastic game. You got to play. You got to play. I'm like, all right, it's cheap right now. I know it's going to go up. I'll pick it up.
So good.
So, well, definitely some good new games resolutions. Hopefully, we accomplish these in 2022. I'm stoked for mine. I know you guys are stoked for yours to dive into them, and we'll have to catch up with you. Obviously, we'll probably have you on before it because all the premium edition games, things that are
Hmm.
going to be happening in 2022. We'll have you on again here in the future, but would love to see your progress.
Yeah.
As the year concludes and see what you do, man, whether you beat just one Yakuza or four Yakuza games, we'll see where it goes.
It all depends on how many great games come out this year.
Next
Right.
more
time
more great games, the less I have to play others.
yeah, next time we see Barry, he's gonna be dressed up in like a full suit, have a scar on the side of his face, guns behind him, and be like, "Dude, you really got into this, didn't
I don't go that hard into it, but I do try, and when I do the
you?"
marathons, I try and do everything. Like I did the animes for Devil May Cry and
Okay.
Danganronpa and
Yeah,
stuff like that too, because
nice.
those are all canon. You need them, so I'm like, all right. I try
Yeah,
and absorb it all.
Full.
to fully
Yeah.
absorb yourself in the Yakuza thing, you need to be dealing drugs, you need to be dealing guns, like go do some gambling and shut down some gambling areas like legal gambling. It'll be great. Um, but yeah, so dude, great start to the year. Very happy we had you on this week. If you want to really quick kind of pitch where you're at again for those listeners.
Sure. First off, if you made it this far and I didn't scare you away, thank you. You're a trooper. But you could, if you want more of me and you want to talk more to me, you can find me on Twitter at Hawk Hellfire. For Nintendo Fuse, you can find us at nintendofuse.com and on all social medias at Nintendo Fuse. Our podcast is every other Monday, starting again on the 21st of this month of January, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube and Twitch. So come and check us out. Our first episode will be on 2022 predictions. So come hear us get all of them wrong. And for Premium Edition, you can find us at premiumeditiongames.com, where you could also find the Switch Mania Playcast, and on all social media platforms as Premium Edition Games, with Twitter being at Premium Edition 1. So we'll have more news on our future titles to announce as the year goes on.
Sounds good, man. And for us, you can find us, of course, on thegamedeflators.com, where we don't update our website. Maybe that's a resolution we need to have is update our website. You can find us on all those great podcast applications out there, Podbean, Spotify, Podcast Addict, etc. Find us on Good Pods. And then, of course, you can find us on social media as well, at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook, as well as at Game Deflators on Twitter, because they don't like the that all said, Barry, thanks again for being on.
Thank you
This
again
is
for having me.
always a pleasure. This has been episode 164 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John,
I'm Ryan, and Happy New Year's.
and thanks for listening.